It's still Women's Month on TWT Pod, and my second guest for the month is a powerhouse. She is the Group CEO of Transcorp. Transcorp houses Transcorp Hotels, PLC, Transcorp Power, TransAfam Limited. You're also the youngest CEO ever and the first female to do it.
Yes.
These are really big shoes. How do you do it?
Thanks, Taymesan. Just to mention, you did miss out Transcorp OPL 281, which is our oil and gas. So yes, how do I do it? I just do. I don't do it alone. I have a team of phenomenal people that I work with. We have a vision, a purpose that is more than each person, which is about improving lives and transforming Nigeria. So when you think of something that huge that you're saddled with, and of course, being the first female and the youngest person to have played that role, I became Group CEO at 39. You realize that it's beyond you. There's a whole generation that I'm representing. No, I'm not a millennial. I was born in 1980. The Gen X, they don't accept me over there. The millennials don't accept. But hey.
So where are you standing now?
I'm standing on my own. Owen Diana Omogiafo. But when you think of the people that you are representing, I'm not just representing Owen. I'm representing the young woman on the street. I'm representing the youth. Yes. At 39, I became Group CEO of Nigeria's largest listed diversified conglomerate. I don't take it for granted. And when I keep all of these in mind, it helps me to keep on doing, even on the days where I doubt myself or I falter. So yeah, I guess that answers that.
Auntie Owen.
How matter?
You know, say, normally we would chat, you understand? I go there DM, they say hello to you. I don't know, see that this level of protocol we have to go through. Imagine getting you on this couch, right? It sort of put things into perspective for me that, you know what, this might not be small fish. I had to go through layers and layers and layers. And it's so beautiful to see that you can be Owen that we know as our auntie, friend, and still be CEO and all your power. And there's no, you know, they mix, not they join. You understand? I'm really curious, right? As a young girl growing up in Benin, because I know that you were raised in Benin.
Born and bred.
Did you ever think that this was going to be your reality years after? Or you just kept working and just hoping for a brighter day?
Did I ever think I was going to be the Group CEO of a company that has nearly 300,000 shareholders? Revenue in billions of naira?
Tell me about it.
No way. Trust me, I didn't dream that big. I grew up in Benin. I was born, bred, buttered Benin. I was born in UBTH. I went to Agbado Primary School. Wow. I went to Uniben Demonstration Secondary School, went to Uniben. But I knew I've always wanted to just do stuff, right? I started nursery school at the age of 2. It's another story for another day. Don't even primary school. I was 4 years old because I've just always been fast, quote and unquote. When I was younger, those days, they would tell my dad, this girl is too forward. And my father would be like, first of all, she's a lady.
Love it.
So having that kind of confidence, someone who is putting you through, making you realize that you're more than you think you can be, right? My dad would tell you, if you say, oh, sorry, I'm a little late, the man will look at you, what do you mean by little late? There's no such thing as little late. You're late, you are late. So don't say you're a little late. So did I dream that I would be the Group CEO? No. But did I dream that I could be the best that I could possibly imagine to be? That answer would be yes. From primary school, I used to go on debate shows. And one of the things I used to debate those days was, I remember those topics of a woman's place in the kitchen versus, remember those favorite ones? I used to do all of those things from an early age. And I've always believed that my gender doesn't define me. My age doesn't define me. I was put on this earth for a purpose. Yeah. Just like God the Father sent his son for a purpose. That's how Owen Diana Omogiafo, when Ni Eliho, was put on this earth for a purpose. And that purpose mandatorily has to be delivered. So from trekking the streets of Apapava those days, walking from Apapava to Ring Road, my brother and I, Raymond, so we could save some of our money so we can buy snacks in school the next day. Because we didn't have money for snacks. But if we walk part of the way, we save our transport fare. I used to, when children are going to buy, breaking time now.
Breaking time!
Not break time, but breaking time.
They don't understand this. These Lagos Bushi kids will not understand.
No, we respect them, we hail them, but we understand our roots.
Different reality. Yeah. But I'm really curious that you with such a reality in Benin, right? Young girl, what do you probably after school go trek with her brother, go house. How do you have a strong sense of self to think that, you know what, I'm Owen, I'm put in this world for a reason, I'm going to achieve a lot, I'm going to move out of this place at some point? Because I imagine that you must have visualized your life as a child, right? And for so many kids who grew up in that space, maybe that's not how they visualize their life. I thought, or my granny thought for me, that I would probably finish, have a 2-1 and come and work maybe in Chevron or Shell back in Warri. But I always wanted more.
Dream.
But around me, there were no kids that had the audacity to dream like that. At 15, I knew I wanted to move to Lagos and go to Unilag. When I had Delta as an option, I refused. So what informed that your belief in yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to do more,
So like you, I was blessed to have people around me who at different points in time, I could look at to emulate and learn. Because you see, you said something, there were kids around you. The same way people were around you, those same people were around them. The difference is what you used it to do.
Yeah.
Right. I remember being in Uniben and I was reading sociology and anthropology. I wanted to change courses because I wanted to do economics. You know, those ones now that you can go accounting, those kind of things. When I was going to my 400 level, they said, okay, I could switch and go back to year 2. Then I spoke to a big brother, let's put it that way, Bawo, Uncle Bros B, as we call him, Mr. Bawo Magbishe. He was working at the bank back then. And I told him what I wanted to do. And he said, oh, man, forget, no need. See, you're on track. Just make sure you finish with your 2-1 or your first class and come out. These days, come and write tests. You're bright, you're intelligent, you pass the test, and then you can go back, do a master's or something like that. It's like the same way in Benin back then. When we say you're going for master's, it was called MBA. Yeah. We didn't know that there was anything about MSc and stuff like that. And my dad, I have to really appreciate him. A single dad, because my parents separated when I was 8 years old. But I love,
Your dad raised you?
Yes, he raised me. But he didn't do it alone. I have to really appreciate my parents because today we've tagged it co-parenting, but they didn't have a name back then for it. Yeah. And I think they did very well in providing the support. Daddy was humble enough when his business went to the pits. As in when I say went to the pits, it was so bad. He would sometimes use his car to do kabu so he can get money to put food on the table. Benin. Oh, yes. And this is somebody who was like super, super rich when I was born, right? And then he lost all his wealth and became so poor that some days when we are lucky self, about 3 times a day is a good meal to eat. I kid you not, like seriously.
Wow.
But he was also humble enough, because it's important, I want to emphasize this, that he was humble enough to not form, I'm a man, and then the mother of my children, be providing support and stuff like that. And my mom, who had also come from a pretty much privileged home, but hey, she had different reasons and having to take, she had to go and retrain, worked as a carer, doing all sorts of jobs to be able to provide funding for us to go to school.
How did that shift affect you at the time, from coming from money and...
What is done for me? You know me now, you're my guy, you know me personally, and that also goes a long way. I'm not wowed by money, right? Because for me, money is good so you can do things for people, or what it does for you. So you can't see me like, oh, I'm trying to get something done today because I want to make money. So I'm more about what I'm trying to do with value and how, what are the things I can do with money, rather than looking in my bank account and say, ka-ching, I have that money, ka-ching.
But that's a good feeling too, that ka-ching.
It's good. But see, Taymesan, some years ago, I had a baby who I lost. And I recall the day we got his diagnosis of him being terminal. My boss and his wife, God bless them, Mr. Lumelu, I can't tell my story without talking about them.
Yeah.
I remember the day Osato and Osato is my husband, when we shared the fact that they had said Jason was terminal, that as in his condition was not compatible with life. I remember that day, TOE said, tell them they should try. Money is not, but guess what? Money couldn't solve it. Because sometimes we focus so much on money, right? Money could not solve the fact that Jason was born with trisomy 18, a condition that is not compatible with life. It's not going to change it. And then it puts things in perspective, right? It puts things in perspective of understanding that there's more to life than making money. And I think it's really a good discussion that we're having today, because I see a lot of people doing different things for money.
Yeah.
We're hearing more and more. Ritual killing is in the rise. Honestly, like that young lady, may her soul rest in peace, and may God honestly comfort her mom. It was so heartbreaking to see. Look, there's more to life than money, right? What are you going to leave behind? What is your legacy? So yeah, that's how that has made me feel. Because look, I've also seen when my dad was Don Bros those days. We were
was that what you guys called him?
No, I'm just not trying to describe that concept of when you have the money. So you're getting invitation from the governor, you're going to governor house, you're doing this, you're doing that, and cool. You know that song? There's one say when money not there. Everybody run away. I have seen that first.
And it's very harsh. The way they move on.
The way they move on. Nobody cares about you. Nobody's checking on you. And again, that concept of how you're nice. The person that came to, let me use the word, rescue my dad from that poverty is someone he had helped. Right? And today he's an adopted brother to us. Yeah, he used to work in, so growing up, like I said, I was born into money. We're members of Benin Club. So Benin Club is like a Koi club.
That's the money, yeah.
That's money. And he was a steward in the club. This guy, Uncle John, he was a steward in the club. But we're always raised to be respectful of people. And my dad could have built his first house in GRA, but he refused. Rather, he chose somewhere off Irunse in Benin at the Kenwan roadside because he wanted us to be balanced. He didn't want us to grow up as snotty kids. He wanted us to be able to blend. Like I tell people, I feel come down, I feel go up. All of the,
I mean, wait for you come down for me, I see you.
Everywhere.
I know
anywhere
that
you put me in the Ekman, I'm okay. Put me in Mayfair, I'm also okay. And that's something that we got.
Let's quickly sip some Lipton. Yeah, thank you, Lipton, for keeping it refreshed and allowing us experience human connection.
So back to what I was saying. We traveled one time. I don't know where we went to, but we went away. Came back and we didn't see this guy. My dad asked, where is this young man, this boy? They're like, that they sacked him because he stole. My dad said, no way. I'm a good judge of character. There's no way that guy stole. My dad, I don't know how he found him, because you need to keep in mind, this was in the early 80s. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. What am I talking about? We had analog phone of those days when your mother would tell you, wait for dialing tone.
Wow.
And when there's dialing tone, you shout, mommy, there's dialing tone. I start pressing the number and stuff like that. But he found him, traced him to his village somewhere in Ishan land.
Your dad did that?
Yes. And brought him back to Benin, gave him one of our houses to be staying in, bought him a Suzuki motorbike. So someone buying you Suzuki, then like somebody buying you Benz today. Let me put it in context. And took him on. When my dad's business started to falter, my dad handed him over to his friend, a Lebanese, Mr. Shaid, and he brought him to Lagos. To cut a very long story short, that guy built up his own business, became very wealthy, and he went back to my dad to say, Daddy,
what's up?
How one do am? You trained me. You brought me up. And he gave him the capital to start up his business again. And that's how my dad now came back to, at least he's comfortable. He doesn't need us to provide for him. He's okay. But it's just that concept. Again, I want to emphasize, Uncle John was not our relation by blood or anything like that. Right? But he was just someone that my dad helped. Is he the only person my dad helped? No. I think in the Bible, there's something about the people that were healed. And only one person came back. But hey, what's the message? What do you have? You have money. What are you able to use your money to do? Right. And it's one of the reasons when I used to work with the foundation, I really admire my boss for that, his passion of democratizing luck. You don't need to know somebody. Right? You have an idea, go online, TF Connect, go and apply. Right? I think there's a new cycle coming up now. The fact that people can come up, and I used to be the COO of the foundation, and it gave me so much joy when we would announce that 1,000, or we gather the thousands of people together for the forum. I'm hearing people's stories. I've had people that told me that, look, Owen, even though we're not chosen for the grant, but the fact that somebody somewhere
is thinking about us.
Is thinking that, see, that gave me the liver. You're putting down my thoughts on paper. I was able to find funding, because some people think that funding is the problem in trying to do something with yourself. But a lot of times, guess what? It's believing in yourself. Having someone out there that thinks yes, you can.
Yeah.
And you go forward and you now say, okay, look, I'm a reason. I don't write this thing. I don't put it up for paper. If I ask this bros, ask this auntie for money, I might just be able to get things going. So yeah, that's how that kind of background has shaped me. I'm always wanting to help people as much as possible, but at the same time, I don't.
Your boundaries are your boundaries.
My boundaries
as well,
are my boundaries, because there's no way to have gotten to where I am right now. Being younger, being female, I was always the youngest in my class. Not be today, every time it's always been like that. But also knowing how to respect people and at the same time obtain respect for myself.
Amazing. I feel like you're from good stock, and I can smell it. Because clearly, when you reached out to me when I was still doing TVT, and I'm still doing TVT, but like I was still coming up, and I saw this woman here, CEO of Transcorp. What is she define? But you were so nice to me. So my brother, you just encouraged me. Even with work and things that would benefit me with Transcorp Group, you've always put my name forward, and I really appreciate that. I imagine that you have a lot of people that you work with, men especially, yeah. And you're probably the youngest in that space, first of all. You're a woman, but you've always held like top positions at different points with your work. Like it's not intimidating at all that you have to work with these men who almost have like a free pass at everything, but you have to work extra hard. It's not at all.
Will I say it's intimidating? Not really. But I'm also quite conscious of an advantage that I have over, let me say, maybe some women. I was raised by a man, and I only had brothers growing up. My sister that was born after me, you probably see her on my Instagram, and I call them my hoodlums, my younger ones. The one after me is 13 years, the gap and stuff like that. So I am also fortunate to work within a group where merit is the watchword. So you don't find us doing things like you're appointed because you're female. You're appointed because you've earned that job, because you have the competence to do it. They believe that you can do it. And when you look at, they say the culture of an organization comes down from the founder. Yeah. If you follow Tony Elumelu on his page, you see how he uplifts his wife, his children, his sister, his mom, and all the females that work. So who born you now? Like you now want to be acting like, just because I've got XY chromosome, I'm better than you with your XX chromosome. No, they work like that, right? Well, in there. But we do have a very strong culture of mutual respect for one another. We are bound by that vision. Well, we're trying to do something that is bigger than us. So when you have that concept, imagine you say you want to transform your whole Africa. Do you get? You want to transform Africa. You want a situation whereby that your green passport. We're talking earlier on before the show about how you went somewhere and your green passport, you have to be opening Netflix to show who you are and stuff like that. We want to get to that point whereby they see where you're coming from. They're like, oh, wow.
You're Nigerian.
You're African. When you think about something like that, you're not bothered about things like, this lady or this man or so on and so forth. And there's the professionalism. Professionalism cuts across all of us. I said it before, I work with phenomenal people. And the beauty of it is that we've also built a strong friendship. It doesn't mean that we don't have issues or we don't fall out. We can quarrel, normal. But we know that we are dealing with the issues. Right? We're dealing with the issues at that point in time. But of course, in your work, you also have to engage with external people. Right? And external people do not necessarily have to buy into your corporate culture. Right? They've been socialized differently and so on and so forth. But I would say in my experience, I've worked now for about 20 years. You meet people, there'll be a first perception because they'll first look at you like, try and get with you, No, that kind of whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
So the onus is on you. Now, when you open your mouth to speak, let them know what you know. I'm not saying go and start raising shoulder and act here, just reeling off figures or you're coming out as arrogant or anything like that. But when people encounter you, they should understand that behind the facade, the 5'7" lady
In her pumps.
Right? In her pumps, in her heels, running in heels.
Yeah.
Right? Behind the blonde hair or whatever makeup you have on at that point in time, that there's a solid professional and there is a very competent person behind that. And the reality is that more often than not, the recognition is organic. It comes through and people just engage with you from that perspective. I actually had a chat with someone recently. I didn't know her. I was at a clothes shop, and she was choosing clothes to buy stuff. I couldn't understand because she was so gorgeous. I had to get fine dye. Fine. Like, really? But I noticed she was picking clothes that were hiding her. And I couldn't understand. Remember, what did it happen for you? Like, why are you? Then I overheard her talking to her mom. Oh, I work with men. I need to wear clothes that will make... Yeah. At that point in time, the Benin in me, I could not hold my mouth again.
That's why I asked this question, because it's tricky for some women.
I couldn't hold my mouth anymore. I had first of all signaled the store assistant to send some clothes to her that I knew would look good on her. I love to style. I love styling people. It's one of the things that I like to do as a hobby. Yeah. And she wore the dress and she looked so gorgeous. She looked very professional, but at the same time, looked really nice. So I started chatting with her. And I told her that don't hide who you are because you're trying to make some other people comfortable. It's not necessarily about your clothes. It's how you carry yourself, how you comport yourself. That would go a long way in how people engage with you, quote and unquote. Of course, some people will still want to be blind and want to engage wrongly. But when you correct them, what they say, you reset the person.
But sis, I feel like it's hard because sometimes I'm happy that you grew up in a nice place where the culture is right and everything. But some women actually have to. So you have to also prove yourself as a woman in the workplace. Then you have to also fight against sexual harassment. You have to, like the girl now, she probably has gone through things. That's why she's buying clothes that can cover her, because for every meeting she probably goes to, there's some man who's thinking that no matter what you say in this meeting, I must get down with you. What can we say about those women? How do they deal? Because some of them have been working for years in the same company. They just want to advance. All they want to do is just to make a life for themselves. But they're facing all of these things.
So it's something. So don't think that I haven't faced that.
Yeah.
In my career.
Yeah.
Right. I started working with my group in 2008, but there was an Owen before the 2008. Right from my very first job, my next job and stuff.
Yeah.
For crying out loud, I worked in Port Harcourt now. Do I need to say?
Not that there's anything wrong with Port Harcourt. We're just saying that.
I was a single young lady in Port Harcourt. So you would get those things, right?
Yeah.
And I said, to thyself be true. Right? If that young lady, like I said, if she was wearing the bigger clothes for herself, there's no problem. But having to be unhappy in who you are because of another person, that's where there's a problem. So instead, it's to look at it and say, okay, this is an issue. And you confront the issue. You have the conversation. Fortunately for us, in the past, I think 2 or 3 years now, the Me Too movement has come on very, very strongly. Yeah. I didn't have the Me Too movement when I was starting out my career. No. I remember having one assessment one time where somebody wrote that I'll never forget the word, that Owen is sluggish and laid back. How?
Wow.
Madam Energy. Meanwhile, why was I getting that thing written? Just because there was a customer of the institution I worked with at the time who was trying to, babe, how fun? What are you doing this weekend? I'm in my house sleeping. That kind of thing. And he wasn't very happy that I was not entertaining
the advances.
But it's who I am. After I walked away from the job, I got another one. Yes, not everybody would have that opportunity to do that. But look, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, and I want to state this very clearly, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, so long as you're trying to pursue a path, you would meet challenges. There was a time in my career I had a difficult person. I contemplated resigning from that job. Anyway, this was a female, not as if it was a man. I contemplated resigning. And I asked myself that, okay, if you leave this job now, you go somewhere. And you wake up one morning and you see new hire announcements. We are pleased to announce that this person has joined the organization. Will I also wear my shoe and run away? So once I knew that answer was no, I knew I had to tackle the issue. So what I would say to women that are facing this, I'm sorry you are facing this. I'm not even going to try and say you're not facing it. I'm sorry you're facing it. We pray for a world. We're working towards a world whereby you will not be harassed, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman. Because, hey, the reality from what I hear, what I read these days is that some men actually are also getting that kind of intimidation. Let me put it in that way. Know where you're going to.
Yeah.
Know where you're going to. Draw the line. Let people be very clear. If you have to repeat yourself to be heard. Please repeat yourself to be heard. But please remember to also protect yourself. It's very, very important. Don't find yourself in a situation whereby you might not be able to, should I say, help yourself or something like that. Challenges would come. Sexual harassment is just one of the many challenges that you would face as anybody, be you a man, be a woman, in your professional advancement.
I'm very curious about your home. You have a doting husband, amazing kids who love you. Do you sometimes just, maybe in the middle of work, just think that, you know what, these people love me and they are proud of me. They see me as a CEO. You know, sometimes we're in our head, right? And even with all the big shoes that we wear, we know that there's still a small part of us that we just want to have validation from people that we really care about. Do you sometimes just smile and say, I'm thankful for this man that has been with me for this long?
Man.
Because first of all, chasing a career in a space like yours, some men might think that, you know what, don't you think you need to pull back a bit and focus on the home and everything? And you also had a mother-in-law that is your guy, that was your guy, rest her soul. When she passed, I saw videos of both of you together. You mourned your grandmother. I'm sorry, your mother-in-law. And in our space here, you know, in this climate, not so many women are that friendly with their mother-in-laws, but she was like a mother to you. I really want to understand the dynamics of all of these relationships that you have with your family.
So let me start with my husband. So first, I got married at the age of 23. Right. I got married at 23, had my first child at 24. So I started out pretty early, and I must appreciate him. His name is Osato Omogiafo.
Shout out to Uncle Osato Omogiafo.
So Osato has been a pillar, a rock. I say this without any fear. I doubt that I would be where I am today without Osato's constant encouragement and support. I recall deciding to go for my master's degree when I was 27 years old, and I went with my 3-year-old son.
Wow.
It wasn't easy. I went to the London School of Economics and Political Science. It's a tough school. It's very tough. And nobody's making any excuses for you or anything like that. Osato used to send me money every month. This is me. I've always been a little Miss Independent, not having to depend on the guy to send money. But he never made it seem like I'm doing you a favor. I don't know if you understand. A clockwork like this, the money has entered. And how much was he earning? He was sent just to support that our dream back then. Because one of the things we agreed very early on is that, as we are younger now, let's just do all the hustle. By the time we're in our 50s, we can chill, be sipping some strawberry daiquiri, that kind of thing.
By the beach?
By the beach.
Like you're doing now?
In a yacht.
In a yacht.
So we had that. But I recall very well, in my first semester in school, Taymesan, I was giving up. I was so done. I was homesick. Oh boy, don't do that in London for winter.
It's
3 o'clock, it's dark. It's dark. It's raining. It's cold. And then you now think of the house you left behind in Lagos, the 5-bedroom house. We had just moved. We really started out from very humble beginners, Sato and I. We were renting a flat in Lagos Island, Isaleko, Big Crop Street. That's where we were. And we had gathered ourselves together. We had moved out of our Isaleko house. We moved to Femi Okunu.
That's why I live now. Jesus. But it's fine.
We don't know which of the Femi Okunu.
But that's why I live now. So I'm almost there now.
We had moved it.
Very soon, I'm going to Ikoyo.
Not be small. I never reached to see they gone. I work for Ikoyo. So we just moved into this house, and I moved to UK. You know how that London life is now. It's not funny. It's not for the faint-hearted. If I was a day, my son, so sad then, the boy threw a tantrum at this train station. He was screaming, I want to go back to Lagos. I want to enter my daddy's black car.
Wow.
The boy was done. It wasn't easy. I remember one day I called, I was crying, like, babe, I can't do this anymore. I want to come back. I can't do this anymore. I want to drop out. We now gathered small money. I bought Turkish airline. Not like now that everybody knows Turkish. We wasn't known back then. I came home and it gave me that inspiration of you can. And there have been several moments like that. Several moments where I have felt, dude. So let's talk about when, for 2018. Yeah, 2018. We had a conference in Abuja. Abigail is my youngest child. She was born February, and this was towards the end of May. She was about 3 months old. Osato had taken time off to go back to school. So he had now gone to New York University to get his master's, right? And I was in my dearly beloved, my mother-in-law, but we're in the house. Osato was not around. So it was me, the baby, Momsi, and the other 2 kids. We had this thing in Abuja. The girl was 3 months old. Too small to be carrying to fly local. My company, God bless them, they said, look, Owen, it's okay. We'll excuse you for this one. Doesn't matter. This is Taymesan Omogiafo. He said, you go now.
Wow.
I said, what do you mean I'll go? So I sat down. I was in my room just thinking about my life. My mother-in-law, may her soul rest in peace. So she came. Like, are you all right? So I thought I was going on. She said, what are you talking about? You are going now. I said, going. I said, Abi is breastfeeding. She said, use your machine, express milk.
Wow.
She said, it's not only 3 days. When you go there, carry your apparatus with you. Express milk, freeze it. You see what you do for you. Have more milk when you come back. And I traveled.
With your baby?
No, without my baby.
You pumped enough milk for her?
Yes.
To survive it. And your mother-in-law?
And my mother, it was not just that. I was thinking of not going. It was my husband and my mother-in-law that said, Madam, you will go.
You're so blessed.
But you see, you asked a question here, and I really want to touch on it. I miss my mother-in-law so much. She was a really wonderful person. It doesn't mean that we did not have squabbles. And to be clear, we didn't start out like this. Yeah, we didn't start out like this. And I say to people, look, you've come into someone's life, be you a man, be you a woman. The person did not fall from the sky and a person risen. So don't try to replace those people. I am blessed. I have really wonderful in-laws. You know one of my sisters now.
Yeah, I know her. Yeah.
She's your person. We didn't start out like that, but we grew to love each other. And I loved her with every single fiber of my being. And guess what? She also loved me, if not even more. If you go on her Facebook, even on my social media pages, before I posted, she's the greatest Oriki singer. So as if before she was still alive now, this kind of thing, she would have sent it to all her WhatsApp group.
Wow.
That CEO, my daughter is on. So she was just so phenomenal, right? We lived together for the last 5 years of her life, right? Even when my husband was away, we were together. When I had to go to Abuja to take on the new job, I was so hard. I said, be going, I'll be with the children. Don't worry. Leave them with me. You go. You'll be going back and forth. When I was appointed the CEO of the hotel, I remember her being there at the transition ceremony between me and Valentine. And she was so proud, happy. My mom, my own mom and her, they were really, really good friends. Again, that's something you don't see.
Yes.
That's something you don't see. My mom lives in London, but when she's around, if I didn't even have our time now, they've entered car, they put petrol inside the car, they are rolling, they are flexing. My mom is around right now, and if even my brothers were like, how will mommy cope? Because her friend is no longer around. If I should be sending me a message now, I'll be like, oh, this is a message I never knew about before. But you see, to me, we're intentional about it. Right? We recognize that we're both human beings. We're both trying to understand and learn what's going on. I miss her every single day. When she passed, people thought that, in fact, people were telling Osato that sorry for the passing of your mother-in-law.
Wow.
That's how myself and mommy were. She was highly accomplished. She's somebody I would always look up to. She had her first degree, her master's degree. She retired as a director from NAPTEB at the age of 60. Went back to retrain as a realtor because the woman cannot be idle.
That's your mother-in-law? My
mother-in-law. In fact, the day she had her crisis, I remember that the night she had the crisis and rushed her to the hospital. She called me around 2 p.m. She was showing a house. And that
How old was she before she passed?
She was 72. She passed.
She
just turned 73. She turned 73 on the 12th of November. You must have seen that video that I posted. Then the crisis came November 16th.
She was still working by that time.
Oh, yeah. And then we lost her about midnight of November 20th.
Bless her soul.
Amen. But she was a wonderful, very, very wonderful woman.
I really want to talk about our relationship on the gram and how we became friends with me. Sorry, I know that the ladies behind, they will go to Eat Me.
Don't worry, we'll wrap up now.
Don't worry. So like Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a whole vibe on Instagram. And you are like sometimes I forget.
It's good.
That you are like, how did you find me on Instagram? How did you become friendly? I can't even remember.
I can't remember either. And then you also I got to meet another young lady, Jennifer, who
she was so obsessed with you at the time. Like she really likes you.
We've still not met, but we chat almost daily. I honestly can't remember how we started. I'll go and check. But look, life is not as serious as people make it out to be. Right? Make friends, keep relationships. Doesn't hurt. And for all you know, reaching out to someone might just be the encouragement that person needed for that day to keep on going. But I've enjoyed having your friendship. You have become, I didn't even realize how much people were watching us until someone says, your brother. I'm like,
I miss one guy for Abuja. I say, now Taymesan and I be Group CEO bestie now. I was like, huh? Like, and this was before we even met. So it was crazy. And I think I've also been very favored with very healthy relationships, good relationships, because I think I'll be a good person.
You are. You did try.
So it's not every day you find the Transcorp. Okay, wait. Let's talk about this. This is the last story I'm gonna say. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
This you're liable to mention him. I'm so sorry about this, but please forgive me. Remember that time when we do an event for Abuja.
All right, by Transcorp Hotel.
So when they come for Lagos, I just say, Transcorp, they call me. We can't do one event. Only for you to get on stage when you were talking about the company and I hear Transcorp Power. I said, is Owen right or am I the one wrong?
The Dupena came up too. I said, Transcorp.
We're so happy about the hotel. Transcorp. I said, hey. Anyways, the Sabi form say I know something where this thing is actually Transcorp. So it's actually Transcorp.
It's Transcorp.
My brother is saying why because she thought it was Transcorp.
It's Transcorp.
I'm so happy that I finally clarified that.
Thank you.
I'm happy about the work you guys are doing. Aura by Transcorp just recently launched and is doing so well. I don't mind having you back.
Okay.
For season 2.
Oh.
And that's how you know where CEO cloth to. You wear jeans and sneakers and you're going to be very relaxed, right?
Which is my normal habitat.
Yeah. So, but I'm very curious about how you also deal with like how you mix work and family because you have a great support system. I know that, right? There's so many books and seminars about how you can be a woman and get the corner office and also attend your PTA meeting of your children and be in every space at every time, right? What standards do you go by? Because a lot of women have standards.
Interesting question. So, first of all, sorry, I can't spend more time. As you know, we did start. Both of us were here right on time, but Lagos traffic did not let our people
drag
come.
People that need to be dragged.
No, who dragged? They were just loving them. Loving them. I started using a phrase before I became popular. It's very popular now. I said, talk about work-life integration rather than balance. The reality is that it's difficult to actually achieve a balance in anything. Even normal, even when you're trying to lose weight or gain weight or whatnot.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Sometimes you'll be like, I better not make you Jesus. I want to drink something. I want to eat this tachambanga. I want to do something.
Yeah.
So I said to people, when I talk to people that discuss this with me, again, who are you? What do you want? Owen Omogiafo, I would not be happy if all I had was my career. At the same time, I would not be happy if all I had was just being a homemaker. But that's me. It doesn't make anybody. Somebody might have decided all I want to do is be a homemaker. That's fine. That's you. That's what you want. Or I want to just be a career woman. I have some friends that are like, please, I'm interested in having children or whatnot. It's also fine. But since I have decided, I've set my sights upon being a career woman as well as a homemaker. See, I'm greedy. I'm greedy. I didn't say wife, I said homemaker. They're two different things. I've set my sights on it. I have to make it work. And one of the things I put in, and I learned it from my former boss, Omobola Johnson. She said, it's not about quantity of time, it's the quality of time that you spend. I'm pretty intentional about being a part of my children's life, my husband's life. my own family's life. I still cook in my house. Yes, I have the housekeeper, but I still cook. I love cooking, Sha. Let me just say that one up front.
Yeah.
I know we spoke earlier, you say you don't like cooking. The kitchen is hot. I think the kitchen is a wonderful laboratory where you bring out great experiments and stuff. So I try to cook in my house. I make my soup, I make jollof rice, fried rice. Then the housekeeper can now make the eba, all those kind of things that we go with the food. I ensure that I'm spending time with my children, even when I travel, because I travel a lot. But thank God for technology these days. Before the advent of all these smartphones, we used to use Skype. I used to use Skype to get in touch with my children, or even just call them with normal landline. Those days of Intercellular, Mobitel, and the rest of them. We always had a landline. And I'll call them, okay, how was school? What homework did you get? Stuff like that. And my kids, the older one, I have to set up children. There's also Precious on one hand, and there's little Abigail. So when I'm talking about my kids, I'm talking about the older children. And I would call them in the school they went to. They're not allowed to do homework for your children. You're just to ensure that they had done the homework. So I'm calling to make those things that they are happening. Hubby and I, before, we used to be very religious about doing date nights and stuff like that. Now, as we have grown older, it's not that serious, but we still look out for how we are connecting. And we've been married 18 years. So it's been, after a while, you begin to grow. There's a flow. Yeah, you know how far. Yourself. And we also tried our best to, because my husband has a very successful career as well. But we try to merge our schedules so that there's always one person around with the kids. It doesn't always work. Let me not sound as if it was always like, last year, last December, Abby had a school concert. And by one stroke of luck, I don't know what to call it, Osato had board meetings. I had board meetings. Now, board meeting is not what you can reschedule. Who you be? Can't reschedule. But what did we do? I reached out to my siblings, my in-laws. Abby ended up in school with a whole troop. She had like 20 people that went.
I love it.
So you know that you're not alone. You're not alone. Now, I know that there are members of the old people that are listening to this podcast that may just be starting out in their career. They're thinking, oh, it's so expensive. This is that. Let me say something today. In the early days of my marriage, I at a point in time, when we were still living in Lagos Island, I had 2 house helps. I was more or less using my salary to get house help because I knew I needed to build my career.
Yeah.
Why did I have to? It's not that I'm lazy. Trust me, I love to keep my home, this, that. But, one thing that these people do, they can phone you, after they've gone on their off, they can phone you now and say, sorry, my brother, one thing happened, I cannot come. Will I not go to work the next day? So I invested in having 2 so that if one person goes off,
another one day,
be as he gets. I would have that buffer. Because back then, my mother-in-law was still working. She was in an active career, so she was not staying in Lagos. My mama, they flex. She's in London, this, that, right? And I didn't have that family support. That's why I could just say, okay, mommy, come and stay with the children. I want to. So I needed to invest in my own support system. And for me, with my support system, their family. My driver has been with me for like 16 years. Yes, everybody knows Mr. Wale.
Wow.
Yes, he started with us when we were still living in our Lagos Island house. And he has grown. As we have grown, he has grown. In fact, when I became CEO, but Wale sent me a message that, Madam, I have to be wearing suits now.
I love it.
Yes. When you see him outside, I said, I have to be wearing suits now. I said, because I'm an executive driver. I said, not be lying.
Oh my God. I wish that we had all the time in the world. You know what? I promised you second season you have to come in jeans, and I know they are in this power girl element, but
don't worry, we'll come in jeans.
Second season you have to come in your chillest outfit.
Can I come with Bubu Sef?
And it's where you like.
I know what I'll come. I'm an unofficial brand ambassador for my darling Kiki.
I love it. Okay, Sibajo.
No, I'll have fun now. Kiki, Zephans and Co.
All right.
I'm from her very early days, one of her very first people, and I'm very proud of how her brand has grown. So, yeah, you know that.
The brand has grown really well.
It's phenomenal. I love her so much. I'm so
let's
proud
wear
of
Kiki.
her. We will wear her.
Yeah. Okay.
Zephans and Co.
Thank you so much, guys, for
Thank you.
listening, and thank you so much for coming, Owen.
Thanks, Taymesan.
See you next season. Bye.